From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.
Good morning. This is Craig Allison with your Morning Pulse for Friday, February 6th. We made it. It's here. We've got quite the great weekend lined up with great temperatures, the Super Bowl, lots to do outside. Be sure, if you haven't already, go over to our page to check out our Star City Buzz for lots of weekend events that we have going on. But before we get into your local headlines, let's get to the question of the day. Question is, you'll have to shell out 8% more this year if you want to serve this at your Super Bowl party. What is it? I myself put guacamole. I don't know. It's just a shot in the dark. But the answer was shrimp. If you do plan on getting shrimp, please double check that it's not one of the ones that was recalled. We had a lot of shrimp recalls within the past year, so be sure to double check that what you got is good to eat. That being said, we have a lot of local headlines to get to, and before you head out the door this morning, be sure to wear red for National Wear Red Day, and we'll explain more of that during this segment of Morning Pulse. Now, that being said, let's get into your morning headlines. First off the top, our lead story from this past week. Family and friends of one Stromsburg couple could finally be getting closure. There's a lot of moving parts to this, so we'll try to break it up for you. But Lincoln Police announcing human remains have been found on a property in Saunders County. This is the same area where authorities have been searching for 26-year-old Hannah Neville and 27-year-old Roberto Tanner. Now, that being said, the couple went missing for over 3 weeks, and at the time they went missing, Hannah was 32 weeks pregnant. Police believe they were murdered, but had not found the remains until yesterday. Right now, police still have not identified those remains, though. Lincoln Police are holding a press conference later this morning. We'll be sure to be there and give you the latest and ask for any more information that they may have in this case. Now, this as the Lincoln couple arrested in connection to the disappearance appears in court. We're learning more about the timeline of events going on in this case. According to an arrest affidavit on January 28th, Neville was reported missing by her roommate. Before we get into more of those details, those are the two that are currently arrested in connection to the disappearance. The roommate of Hannah Neville said that she had gone to Lincoln to pick up Tanner from his half-brother Sterling James's house. Days later, on February 1st, investigators interviewed a witness who told police James had admitted to shooting Neville and Tanner and then burying them. The same day, James and his wife, Sadie Titus, were arrested. Police say Titus helped by digging up the bodies and helping James to rebury them. Police are still trying to find a motive, but the affidavit says James was upset by text messages sent by Roberto Tanner. This is a story we'll keep following, keeping you updated on, and bringing you the latest on our 1011 Now News app. It's a lot of moving pieces, so be sure to head over to our website as well for more on this story. Your second story, a sad update. A Lincoln man went missing last week, has reportedly been found dead. The family of Harrison Schurz confirming just last night the 27-year-old has died following a car crash. Shay posting a message on social media saying, quote, "It is with extreme heartbreak that we share that Harrison has been found and he has passed away due to a motor vehicle accident. We are devastated. Harrison was deeply loved and our lives will never be the same without him," end quote. That was one of the family members of him, and family has set up a GoFundMe. You can find that link on our website, 1011now.com. Moving things over in our Capitol coverage, a committee hearing was held yesterday for a bill that would require copies of emergency state contracts to also be shared with the state auditor. This comes after a report from Nebraska State Auditor Mike Foley claims Governor Jim Pillen directed the Department of Economic Development to award a $2.5 million emergency no-bid contract to a lobbyist he knew personally. Foley's issue with the contract, there was no justification or explanation for the emergency. As it stands, the law requires a copy of emergency no-bid contracts to be shared with the Director of Administrative Services. Now, if this bill passes, Foley's office would also get a copy, which he says could prevent future contracts from being awarded this way.
I think it will put a damper on this kind of thing in the future. When people, agency directors know that they've got to file this report with the auditor's office, I think they'll think twice about making sure that the form is filled out correctly, completely, that there is truly an emergency and not just an invented emergency.
In some more reporting from the Nebraska Examiner, Pillen's office from last night says the emergency contract was considered an emergency because there was not enough time to go through the traditional bidding process. And also from the Nebraska Examiner, Pillen spokeswoman Laura Strimple said Thursday evening, quote, Governor Pillen has been consistent. If a state employee engaged in illegal activity, they should be investigated and action taken if appropriate, end quote. But fully believes there was more than enough time given the explanation from Governor Pillen. That being said, we'll be sure to keep you updated if there's any more on this developing story in our Capitol coverage. Fourth story in election news, Lancaster County Election Commission has mailed early voting application forms to 60,000 voters on the permanent early voting request list. Voters should expect to get the form in their mailboxes within the next few days. Applications for the partisan voters will be pink and nonpartisan applications will be blue. You can still request an early ballot to be mailed by submitting a letter with the required information to the Election Commission. You can find more on our website, 1011now.com. Now, before we get to our final story this morning, we just wanted to let you know why we're wearing red today. It is National Wear Red Day, but there's a lot more to it. 1011 is asking you to join us in raising awareness and supporting women's heart health. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in women, and nearly 45% of women over 20 are living with some form of cardiovascular disease. So be sure, again, before you head out the door, share your red with us on Facebook using the hashtags WearRedDay and GoRedNE and help us amplify this message today. Again, Husker Nation as well as Nebraska, plenty of red in the closet, so this shouldn't be a hard ask. Just try and go out and wear some red today. Raise some awareness with us here at 1011. That being said, over to your last story in Husker news. The Nebraska men's basketball team is back on the road and heading to the East Coast. Huskers will look to bounce back after Rutgers tomorrow after its first two losses of the season. Head coach Fred Hoiberg says Rutgers' home arena is one of the great venues in basketball, and the Huskers will have to prepare for a rowdy crowd.
It's old, the ceiling's low, and when they get that crowd behind them, it's hard. It's hard to hear. And, we got to make sure that we're on point. Communications, hand signals, got to make sure we're ready for all that. And, I give our guys credit. They've played solid on the road all year, even looking at the one loss.
Hoiberg also gave an update on Rink Mast, saying he's feeling, quote, back to himself. Nebraska tips off against Rutgers Saturday at 11 a.m., and it will be on the Big Ten Network. This being said, over at 1 p.m., Husker women's basketball also playing. That game is against Maryland, so be sure to check out both basketball teams this weekend. That being said, that's going to do it for your Morning Pulse this Friday morning. Go out there, enjoy those nice temperatures, wear red, and here's a look at your 7-day forecast before we toss things over to Brandon Rector with more on your great weekend.
Good Friday morning. Meteorologist Brandon Rector with you in the 1011 Severe Weather Center. We are going to see increasing clouds across central and eastern Nebraska this morning, so becoming partly, potentially even mostly cloudy. Mostly sunny, though, in the western part of the state. Cooler and breezy today. Winds out of the north-northwest, 10 to 25, gusting up to 35 miles per hour. Temperatures at noon look to be in the low 40s to low 50s. By 4, it's low 40s to around 60. And at 8 this evening, we're in the mid-30s to mid-40s for much of the area. In Lincoln for today, temperature will remain in the 40s, high temperature of 49, a lot cooler than that 66 we had for high yesterday, but still above average by 11 degrees.
From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.